Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a Masters BAP. It's about 3800, but they got thrown up in a higher lobby. This is like a 4400 lobby. So they're going to have to play a bit up, and let's see what that's like for them. If you guys are enjoying this type of content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps me out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see rates, see promos, all that good stuff. So I don't really... like... No, I'll do. You can do this. You guys did all get TNT'd. I don't love this lamp. I really don't. I would have said put the lamp up here because I'm more worried. Like, it looks like you're sort of compromising with this lamp. You're like, well, we got TNT'd, so I'd kind of like to get us, but I'd also like to get my Rhine. But that just means this lamp is going to get destroyed immediately. Like, I would have preferred that you lean this up here for this, and that you guys then use the fact that you've thrown a lamp up there to get a little bit more aggressive yourself with your positioning and fully take this high ground. And then from this high ground, you're taking here. Like, that's what we're looking to do. We don't really want this compromised lamp that is just instantly going to get destroyed. Okay. And the lamp's instantly destroyed. You did get your Rhine stabilized. I'm trying to weave. That, you just can't get hit by that. Like, you see that coming. I totally know that in the moment you feel like, hey, I'm having to deal with a lot of stuff. Like, I'm thinking about the fact that I need to heal my Reinhardt. I'm thinking about the fact that I need to shoot at them, and you are trying to weave. I'm liking the weaving that I'm seeing. That's good, but you can see that coming. And I know your brain is actually looking at 6 different things at once, but you see that coming. You get hit by it. It really is part of the reason. You'll notice your team has, by and large, adjusted their positioning. They've gone here. And this is what I was talking about. Your team doesn't actually want to just be like, oh, we'll stand here. Your team wants to get a little more to, we can use the angles, we can do this, so that you have the option to, break line of sight at a moment's notice. You do want this. You do want this high ground, but really you don't want to just stay here. You want to get yourself to here, or in the case of some of your DPS out here. But for you, it's going to be to here, based on what your Reinhardt did. You guys won control of this, and then you sort of throw this away. I wonder if Brain Dead and Anxiety are a duo, knowing how it's probably just coincidence. Could be.
It's not my time. I have found the enemy. Come and face me.
Yeah. There's some good names in this one. There's also some good players in this lobby. Yeah. I can tell why the player would have perhaps felt a little intimidated suddenly playing in this lobby. Tanks get used to that stuff all the time. Tanks regularly end up thrown in lobbies way above their SR. Happens less often to support players. Move on. Okay. No. And then they rotated here. That's just not a great rotation that they did. You can't get hit by that. Why are you hit by that? Like, this is not a good rotation, and it's not your fault that your team is taking this rotation, but you're charging these boots. I actually would have preferred a higher leap for these boots in general. Like, I'm not sure why you did such a baby little leap charge here and then jumped. Like, if you were going to do a jump, you were going to do a high jump to sort of get over here. If you weren't, like, why are you jumping and giving yourself hang time in the first place? You get hit by this. You didn't even reactively try to throw out the lamp to hearing that the sounds came. Unfortunate. You're going to lamp immediately, at least? Yeah. You lamp immediately. You don't throw it to this corner. I can tell you're slamming the button, which is right, but we wanted to try to get it tighter on this corner. This is not giving you the cover you wanted on it, but that's fine. Getting it out first was the priority. Reload. Good. Okay.
Let them out.
Yeah, so you notice how your Reinhardt immediately retreated through this window. So, obviously you're thinking to yourself, oh, my Reinhardt's throwing, I give him a window and he retreats through it, and what am I going to do, etc. Like, okay, there's something to be said for that. There's something to be said for that. Let's go back here. But let's look at where your team is when you're throwing this window. And I don't mind if this is just a thought of, hey, it's going to turn into a personal window. We can live with that.
Let them out.
You throw this window down. You have a Lucio over here. You have a Symmetra over here and a McCree over here. Yeah, this is aggressive enough. This is fine. You're gonna shift. You're not shifting. Why are you not shifting? There we go.
You're going to be fine.
You didn't really need to give that up. No. You can hold this. You can hold this with shift. You guys have a nice concave on these guys. You can totally shift, step here for a moment, and then step right back out here once your shift is done, like any healing to you. You do not need to surrender this space that your window currently occupies. And just because your Reinhardt's going back here, it's kind of silly, but I don't care if your Rein does kind of silly things. You can be like, I'm still going to do this. Yes, I don't generally want to be the front line, but I've cleared this. I have cleared this, and I can back it up and still play from here and still be safe enough. And my Rein is just going to go to point, and then he'll be in front of me again. This is okay, and once your window's gone, you can fall back to here if you want. Good, adjusting for the cover. Okay, right idea. You can't heal through that, so you're just gonna chuck damage. And it's over. It's back out. You're just risking staggering yourself. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. It's because you took too long to get out. You did not recognize when you had to bail there. And that's going to cause your Rein to get staggered.
Not my time.
I mean, no, obviously you doing that doesn't mean he gets staggered. He makes his own active choice to get staggered, but if you don't get staggered there, he's not in a position to make that mistake because there's still 6 of you alive. You can still keep him alive.
Regen burst activated.
Okay. Don't pay too much attention. That's really more attention on your McCree than I'm comfortable with when I see that your Reinhardt is pushing. Turns out your Rein was fine, but that was a long time to be staring at your McCree, who is not in the line of sight of the opponents, when your Rein is clearly walking forward pushing. You walked into that shatter. You walked into the sound queue. Yeah, you walked into that. Why don't we like shift? Are you trying to reset? Are you just saying, no, I'm resetting? No, you're looking around trying to heal her, which means you just forgot your shift was off cooldown. Shift. Shift is amazing right here. Helps you, helps Symmetra, helps McCree. Everyone would love this shift. Right, he's using the time to get more GME while he's in spawn. There you go. Are you communicating with your Rein? Okay. Okay, so there's some... Shift usage can be cleaned up a little bit. There's a little bit of shifting when it's not worth, but there's probably more. So some shifts that you really didn't need to shift, but I'd say the bigger issue is that shift right there, for example, where, hey, why is this shift not coming out? And you had a similar one when you were up on the high ground on left side and you just didn't shift for like a good 2-3 seconds and there was really no reason to delay it there. That's one thing that we're seeing. We're also seeing an issue where you do look away and stop paying attention to your Rhine, to your tank for too long. You're willing to look at other things for too long when there should be reason to believe that those other things are about to go poorly. Like it doesn't mean your eyes have to be glued to your Reinhardt 100% of the time. They definitely don't. You're going to do things. You're sometimes going to do things that tilt your camera in such a way that you can't see your Rhine for a moment or two. But you have to have enough of a grasp of how the fight is going, of what your Rhine wants to do, and of where the opponents are to know when you can and can't look away. And that interaction where your Rhine was clearly pushing in, and you're like, oh, I better heal my McCree, and I'm going to spend 2-3 shots worth of time to do it instead of just, yep, I'll throw one at him, and whether I hit him, whether I don't hit him, it's then time to turn back and pay attention to my Rhine, because my Rhine is trying to walk through a choke into opponents. That needs to be a thing. We can see some faster lamp reaction times. And there was something else that was fairly big that I didn't touch on. We touched on lamp. We touched on paying attention to your Rhine. We touched on the shift usage, cover issues in general, lamp placement. We'll keep going. Let's keep taking a look.
I am loving this.
Well, it's high noon somewhere in the world.
Hello. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Raising the volume.
Okay. So you should know that that's happening. Your Lucio messed up his speed timing too, so you aren't going to be punished that bad for it.
This is gonna make you feel better.
Go back to weaving. Go back to weaving. You don't need to heal. Okay.
Y'all look like you needed some healing.
It's fine. It's not optimal for you to be in a situation where your team is pushing from this side and you're contributing from this side. It will cause you to miss too many heal shots. Again, really not optimal. You'd actually be better off having rotated with them, even if you rotated along the high ground or rotated along the low ground with them, and then just hop back up over here or play back in here if you have to. I understand why you did it though. Someone like Zen could get away with this where his Harmony Orb lingers. You can't really, just because of how your healing works and the rate at which your healing keeps up. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to miss out on heals for a bit and then catch back up. It doesn't really work with Bap. Bap is the constant 50 to 70 heal per shot. He's not really good at catching up. He doesn't have the Annonade. It's not the Harmony Orb that stays on them when they break line of sight while you do something else. You can't really do this the same way. But hey, it worked out.
On the tempo.
I don't really, I almost never want you doing that. Walking forward so that you can get close, so that you can use a shift to heal your team, and then having to walk back. Like, if you use a shift to heal your team in rotation because you and your team are taking damage, if you're using a shift because you're already with your team's taking damage, you have a reasonable expectation that you might take damage, that's fine. But your shift is really only going to heal them 75 HP over its duration, if memory serves. 75 for them, 150 for you. Whereas a single direct right click on someone heals them 70. It's just not worth compromising your position. It's not worth getting closer where you're more likely to take damage, more likely to get picked off, to try to get your shift off, and then using your shift, especially when you hadn't taken any damage, to then be like, I healed my team more. Well, now you don't have your shift. Now you're more vulnerable, and Divas and Lucios will punish you for that. Okay, no Diva in this case, and Lucio's probably not going to do it himself. Maybe you'll get away with it in this specific matchup, I suppose. Still not really a fan. It's going to mean that someone's going to chip you down. The McCree's going to chip you down, and you're then going to be locked out of the fight. The Lucio's going to chip you down, and you're going to be locked out of the fight. You don't really want to bring yourself forward to use your shift to heal your team like this unless you're already with them as like part of a tight rotation. It's very rare that it's worth it to go, I'm going to shift for my team. Like, I'm going to walk towards my team to shift to heal them and walk out. It's just not very much. Like, it's not a, oh, absolutely never type situation, but it's a pretty rare situation that you walk forward to shift and then back out. Giving up your negative space is very rarely worth it. It makes it so that your aim, your attention becomes worse. It makes it so that you're more vulnerable because you don't have your shift. It doesn't actually help them very much, and it makes you more likely to take damage that you now don't have a shift for, though admittedly the shift will be rolling during when you go do this. It's not all that amazing, and your positioning before was fine, and you could have healed them just fine. Okay. Why do you care about your Zarya? That one's probably you trying to get more your Reinhardt than your Zarya. Yeah. So you didn't need to, and this isn't the first time you've done this. You're here. You hit your shift that I don't like. Great. You hit your Reinhardt with that. You decide that, hey, it's my job to break these turrets. I'm not really sure about that. I'm not really sure about that. You heal your Zarya there. I'm perfectly happy to let Lucio break that turret. Looks like he's willing to do that. My Zarya definitely doesn't need healing. My Rein does. Again, Lucio was going to break that turret. You were... Even if you didn't realize Lucio was going to break that turret, like, your Rein was already in a situation where you needed the next shot to be a heal shot on him. Yeah. Target priority. You don't want to try to heal the Zarya. So even if the Zarya is at 50%, if the Zarya is at 50% and your Rein is at 70%, and the Rein is up here and your Zarya is back here, the Rein is the one who wants the heal more than the Zarya. Would you love to get a heal on Zarya when you can appropriately get it on her so she gets back into the fight more aggressively? Absolutely, you would. But the Reinhardt's still the priority. If the Rein's at 100 and she's at 50, sure. If the Rein is at 90 and she's at 40, sure. But, like, the Rein was getting to a point where the Rein was under meaningful amounts of pressure when you took that Zarya shot. Oh, you did? You did, Mystery? Okay.
Well, it could be worse.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, hit by shatter. There we go. That is something that was happening way too often for a BAP.
You're fully hit.
I don't care about getting hit by shatter there necessarily, especially after his Reinhardt isn't a thing, but on the previous point, absolutely. Hit by too many shatters. Okay, so that was fine. This is a fine shift. I just want to highlight it because you're hitting this shift, expecting that you're going to take damage here. You're hitting it because you're already tight with your team for the rotation. This is a fine shift. Okay. I'd have actually preferred that you bring that back just a touch more. This is a little far forward, and they can reasonably push through this. Like, even just bringing this back a couple inches would have been preferable. But here we go. They have this. No big surprise. Did you get it right? You did! Yay! Shift. 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 What? What? Huh? You were so slow on that shift.
I'm on fire. How about a little
Why are you here? Why did you not transition yourself up to here as you're doing this? Like, why did you walk out here? Why are you still here? The high ground! The high ground! I still don't like that shift. That is not a good shift. That shift just doesn't do enough for you. Like, that shift is like, my Reiner, my Zarya might take damage. Maybe, but not very much. You're keeping them around 90%, no problem. You definitely don't need to be rolling a shift on them, especially when it costs you your shift, and that leaves you more vulnerable. Oh, look, wouldn't it be nice to have your shift right now? That would let you play more aggressive. That would let you keep this angle a little more open, take more offensive shots, play up here, take more offensive shots. Like, this, having your shift now would be pretty great, but you don't because you spent it. It's a shatter and you didn't get hit by it. I'm happy. Shit. You could be on your second shift by now. And they both would have been necessary. Yeah, that's fine.
It's hand.
Double
Yeah.
kill.
Okay.
You are unworthy of the true reality.
Well, letting Lucio heal for ult charge is something you do between fights. It's something you do when you're sure that the danger level is pretty low. You don't go, oh, I'm specifically going to let him heal it when the danger level is relatively high. The only hero who really does much of, I'm going to not heal while danger is above a low level, while danger's at like a moderate level even, and it's a moderate low level that she does this at, is a Valking Mercy will sometimes intentionally go, there's still like 2 opponents left, but I'm intentionally going to keep my team at like 40 to 60% health because because we have won this fight. It is 5v2, 6v2, whatever, and even though there's some real danger, I'm going to keep them relatively low so that I can heal them up after my Valk is over to get a bunch of my ult charge back. That's a thing that happens. There isn't really another support that needs to do a ton of that. Like, yes, every support has something to be said for, oh, maybe I'll heal them after my ult is over and I can get ult again, but Mercy's really the one who it probably applies to the most. We're certainly not with any of these going, oh, neither of us have our ult. I'm going to, in the middle of active hard combat, go, while we're getting spammed by Lucio and McCree from the other side of the point, I'm going to let my Lucio do the healing. No, we're not. Nice, Mystery. Congrats on peaking GM last season. Crazy improvement for most of the BAP VODs you've done. Good to hear. Good to hear.
Group up. Come on and face me.
Weekend burst activated.
Again, I'll live with this shift. It's a relatively dangerous rotation you're doing. Your McCree was already missing health. You could expect to take damage for it, sure. Okay.
Let them out.
I don't like this. Did you guys have a plan for which ult you were using? Or did you both press these at the same time?
Let them up.
You kind of pressed those at the same time. That's not a great combo. Doing these from different angles is better than doing them from the same angle in the overwhelming majority of circumstances. And I don't know if these were pulled at the same times because you guys coordinated on comms that you were trying to pull them at the same time for a super high noon, not good, or if this was you just both thought, hey, it would be good to use a poke ult right now to drive them back. I also would have much preferred that this window be over here so that it's half here and half here. And I don't need it to be full half and half, but I need a portion of this window to be over here where you're threatening point with it, as well as a portion of the window over here. Like, I don't need all this space over here on this window, since we have garage door size windows now, since BAP got that buff ages ago. We want to bring these over and use it to threaten 2 different meaningful lanes. We don't want to just be like, aha, well now I can just aim it all willy-nilly. No, now you have to go, I want part of it threatening this and part of it threatening this, because I can change my angle through it, even if I have just a little bit on this to make sure I can hit what I need to with my double damage. Not gonna heal your McCree?
I'm on fire.
Wow. Wow. Your McCree is getting aggressive with no health even out of your lamp range. Okay. I'm not quite sure what you were planning to do with that jump. Yeah. Like, jumping wasn't going to let you shoot through the sim wall. I like that that shift was in time, but...
It's not over yet.
Огонь по готовности! Огонь по готовности!
He's beating. He's beating. You might not have heard that he was beating yet. You should have heard that he was beating, but you might not have heard that he's beating. Your general rule of thumb is going to be you're going to lamp first and then let the defensive volt. Be that beat, be that transcendence come in. On top of it, just after it, they're not going to wait your whole lamp duration. They might expect your lamp to last. You might be used to them expecting your lamp to last 2 or 3 seconds. In a mid-GM lobby, they're probably expecting your lamp to last about 1 second, maybe a little longer, and so they'll delay their beat just slightly. But you're the first line of defense, usually, for saving someone who's going to go down. We flinch and use lamp before our Lucio flinches and uses beat. He did this because you weren't here, which is fine. But if you know that he's doing this, you don't then throw your lamp. It was a short window. I get it.
Get in here. Weekend burst activated.
Not as much a fan of this shift. And also, why are you here? Why are you here rather than just play your wall? Play your wall. Your wall's just fine. Your wall's just fine. Don't play up here. Play here. There's no one here, there's no one here, and you have a cover option. Yes, I know you temporarily have the sim wall cover, but all good things come to an end. Okay.
Step.
Shift usage is the most glaring issue right now. And yours is actually that you forget you have it and don't use it, which is not the most common issue that Baps have with shift. But that's fine. We'll work on it.
Привет!
Do not deviate from the plan, and victory will be ours.
Loved the thumbnail quote of maps are just sets of cover. They are! They are! I'm glad you liked that one. And yeah, I think it can help to think of them that way, especially for Rhine, who is so much about moving from one set of cover to the next.
One. Round 3.
Teleporter
Capture
online.
the objective.
Move swiftly.
All better.
Okay. Oh boy. You like those fire strikes.
Shoot to heal.
That's fine. Okay. So, a couple things here. Why are you letting yourself get pulled up here? Why? Why are you letting yourself get pulled up to here? This is a positional error. You were perfectly happy from here. You could maybe justify getting to here. I'd prefer you wrap back around here, but you could maybe justify getting pulled up to here. There's not really any reason at all for you to be on this side of the pillar. And what I'm saying by that, maybe my screen isn't clear. There's not really a reason for you to be here. There could have been a reason for you to be here. Back here is best, but could have been a reason for you to be here. I'd have preferred that you'd rotated back to over here as this Rhine battle moved. There's not, I repeat, not a reason for you to transition from here up to here. This is just exposing you. You don't have this pillar as cover. You are actually totally in your expected opponent's sight line here. You've pulled yourself close to the battle. Maybe you're walking up here thinking, I'm going to shift for my tanks, in which case, fix that. Stop thinking that, and it'll stop dragging you into bad positions. Maybe you're going, hey, I don't want to go over here because there's scary stuff. We're not winning elephant, so I don't want to wrap over here, which is perfectly valid. You don't want to wrap over here. They won elephant. Totally fine. Keep playing from here. And if you have to go over here like that, and this pillar is still working as your wall against them. Like this would be your usual. This would be something you'd rotate to. Oh, you can't, fine, so you're going to play from here instead. Or even if you want to bring it out to here and play from here and make it so that I'm healing my Rhine and shooting the McCree, you could justify that. But like this would be fine where you're healing your Rhine, you're shooting the Rhine, or you're healing the Rhine, you're shooting the Sim. Like this is where you are. I know this seems like a minor difference, but it's a big minor difference. And now I just don't think that you do know about this lack of elephant control because you're over here, and you do want to shift this, by the way. You've taken damage, you're taking more. You don't press the button before you get eliminated. And you get eliminated by a fire strike. Okay.
The objective is now active.
Yes, elephant is generally better, but the other team had control of elephant. And even though elephant is a little better, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to control this bat, because usually you would expect that your McCree is going to get control of it. And if your McCree has control of it, you end up in a situation where I probably want the extra angle of controlling a different spot. Like, BAP could be, hey, I'm going to control like this, but usually when you think of how things are laid out, you would go, hey, what we'd actually like to do is we are going to put our McCree over here. We're going to maybe put our Reinhardt right here, our Zarya right here. Maybe we're going to go ahead and put, who's our other DPS? Our Symmetra. Okay, our Sim's going to play forward, so something in the similar direction of your Reinhardt maybe. And then we're going to put our BAP like here, or maybe our BAP here. But you see this, you're setting up a concave of sorts. If we had a different DPS besides Sim, we might be more interested in them controlling over here, so that they could threaten in, threaten in, threaten out, threaten out, threaten like this. That's how you'd be thinking about it. So because you would usually go, I'm going to set my BAP sort of in the back, not I'm going to set my BAP on such a sharp angle, which is why we're more thinking about playing around this pillar. Which isn't to say that the angles are bad, it's just with how BAP's weapon works, where BAP needs to change targets constantly, McCree does not need to look at his team very often. BAP needs to be able to see his Reinhardt, see his Zarya, see his Diva, occasionally be able to check on those things, so getting like over here becomes a little bit less attractive. Still doable, but like transitioning up here to take shots is going to be a less common occurrence for BAP. BAP is much more interested in, I can see my team, I can see their team. If they're out here, they can still see their team, but they don't want this sightline open while they're paying attention to their team. McCree is happy to have this sightline open because he's shooting out there, and he's perfectly happy to shoot in here too, but he's shooting out here enough to justify it. And obviously, yes, you adjust for either one of them as you do it. Hope that made sense. If it didn't, let me know.
You're fully healed.
The fire strike. You're trying. Okay. Just heal your right. Oh, yeah, we'll deal. Boosted fire strikes hurt.
Don't move.
You got it, Daunted.
Someone
You got it.
for me.
BAP's weapon is very much built to go right click, left click, right click, left click, or the other way to do it. There's really three different. You could argue there's 4 different fire methods for BAP. When people get super critical and you're just worried about healing, you might right click, right click, right click, but that should be incredibly rare. When no one's taking any damage, you might just go full on left clicks, but that's going to be somewhat rare as well. Most of the time what you're doing is some sort of weave pattern. That might be 1 damage click, 1 heal click, 1 damage click, 1 heal click, and you're taking advantage of the fairly long mandatory fire rate delay that BAP has between the heal shots, between the right clicks. So you're filling them with left clicks. But you can actually go, hey, I do this and I lose no time. I lose no time. As long as my flicks aren't taking me time, I'm losing no time if I'm just weaving in a left click here, a damage click, a damage burst between my 2 heals. You can actually get multiple though. You'll actually even see people sometimes go for 3, in which case, yes, they are, even if they're weaving and flicking perfectly with 0 time delay, they're still delaying their next right click in that time. But there are optimization periods that will call for that. But 1 and 2 weaves are things that you have to get comfortable with. Start with the 1-to-1, it's easy, but then you move on. I haven't been talking about weaving this video for BAP though, because weaving is not something this BAP needs to work on. This BAP's weaving is quite good, and it's rare that you're talking about, like, it's not perfect by any means. There's plenty of weaves I could have called out, but they're not at all something that this player needs to focus on, which is unusual for a Masters player. Most Masters BAPs still need to work on their weaving. And again, this player would still have benefit to working on their weaving, but it's actually, this is the perfect example when people ask, what does a player need to do to go from Masters to GM, to go from Plat to Diamond, to go from gold to plat, whatever. This is the perfect example of it's going to differ for player to player, because this player's weaves are better than you would expect for 3600. But their shifts are worse than you would expect for 3600. I have coached GM BAPs with worse weaves than this guy. Just to put that out there. But most GMs are still working on their weaves. Like this is just how it works. Players are different. You can get enough value out of your hero in different ways, and you need to, everyone has a different path for what their way up. If you're getting enough things done, you're doing enough things right, even if it's in a slightly different combination than other guys, you're going to be at the same level as those other guys who are getting similar amount of value, even if they're worse and better at different things. Okay, enough of my rant. Don't really like all this pre-healing. Pre-healing is fine. This is fine. This is less fine. That's worse. So we don't really like to do 1 ammo reloads with our pre-healing, because at that point, if we're just going 10-9, 10-9, 10-9 and reloading each time, the delay of our reload means we're basically like 50% likely to be caught while we're reloading and can't be doing anything. And that's going to be worse than the value of the pre-healing. So when we're doing pre-healing, we want to do it like the first set you did, where you go down to something in like the 7-6 range, sometimes 5 range, before you reload if you're doing pre-healing. Yes, you don't want to go lower than like 6 or 5 before reloading if you're doing pre-healing type stuff. People aren't taking real damage, because then you'll get forced into your reload. If the fight starts when you were at 2 ammo just and you used 8 in pre-healing, that's bad. That's going to be, hey, I'm going to get forced into a reload at a bad time. But you're also likely to get caught in a bad reload if you're reloading at 9 every time. So you do want to find something in this sweet spot usually. Okay. And this shift, I don't really like this shift. Yes, this might be part of a rotation, but I'm not expecting that you're going to take damage and you're not struggling to keep your team up with this. Like, this is not as nearly as good a shift as your rotational shift on Village there, was it? On Village when you were coming through the choke and you guys were getting spammed at the choke. You guys aren't getting spammed nearly as hard here. Okay. Okay. Again, it's okay, but you see how you could have slid this window over more? Like, this window is doing nothing. This sliver is doing nothing for you, and you don't actually need this whole thing covered. Like, if you'd shifted this window over a bit, so it was more of like a, hey, I'm covering from here to here type window, that would have been a lot better. Or even, like, I'll make the window smaller than window actually is. Like, this is fine. This would have been fine. And this is less total window space than you get. So, like, this window works and your McCree is using it, but you could have made this a better window by shifting this a little further to the right so that the McCree had a little bit easier time using this. If we can get a little bit more window here, your McCree would have an easier time using this to threaten these guys, and that would be great. And what you got over here was worthless, and even giving all of this up is worthless. And even giving up a little bit more of this, or even this, wouldn't have hurt you as much as just this much would have helped you over here. So I'd like you to be thinking about, you clearly were you thinking about this window as I want this, and I do want this, but I also want this. And there's no reason I can't have both with how modern window works. not in love with that shift. Why are you reloading? Why? This isn't pre-healing. This is real fight. Like, heal your Kree, man.
Is it hot in here or is it just me?
Now you can reload. This is like pre-healing stuff, yeah. Basket weaving to Baptiste weaving. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Jedi's ready. Saddle up.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Get in here.
Fine.
Огонь по готовности.
Get in here.
Yeah, I'm being picky. I'd have liked your lamp to do what their Bap did, which is, hey, I'm gonna try to set it partially behind this thing, and you could have done the same thing and set it partially behind this, and it still would have worked for your Reinhardt. But I'm being picky.
Огонь по готовности.
Get in the immortality field.
Why did you think you could walk there? You can't fight them through the window. Like, I don't know why you're trying to fight them through the window. I know that, like, you're thinking maybe, hey, we need to be taking this fight while we have our beat going. Maybe we need to take this fight. We went down one more person than they did, so there's no time to stabilize. We just need to fight. But you guys have point control. You don't have any meaningful beat left. They do still have window left. You can't fight through this window. You just break line of sight. You don't challenge them through the window. No! Why are you repeaking? Why are you repeaking? You're repeaking to try to get a shift off. This was what you had. If you could have gone to here, great. But this was what you had, so you were going to have to accept that this was what you had. If you wanted to, you could potentially hop your way up to here, or even up to here, and see what you could get from here, where their window isn't doing them any good, but you couldn't repeak this after you got behind cover. Yes, you've gone down to a lot of fire strikes, and it's, you know, a little funny because fire strikes are... they're not that hard to dodge. Like, they're a kind of slow-moving projectile with a wind-up, etc. But, like, this isn't even that it was a fire strike. Anything could have taken you down here because you're re-peeking the window that has a Bap, that has a Sim, that has a Reinhardt, that has a Lucio behind it. Any spam could have taken you down. And now they're going to cap the point faster. You thought he was using the window for cover. Ha!
Uncanny attitude positive now.
He wanted to play... Oh, there's Sham, our BAP expert. He wanted to play cover on left side of the forward pillar. Left side of the forward pillar. Oh, over here, you're saying? Yeah. Yeah, this could have been fine. This could have been fine if this is what you're talking about. I think... Let's go back to actually how we got there. Now that we have this. Here we are. We just kind of wander across here. Yeah, no, the Sham is absolutely right. He could have just shifted, he could have literally just walked a step to the left here, and this would have been fine. He did not have to go here. He did not have to go here and then come back out here. It literally was just a step over to here the whole time would have gotten him to work.
Uncanny attitude positive now.
Kindly
You're fully healed.
Photon barrier is almost ready. Reality bends to my
Okay. Good, we didn't get hit by a shatter. That's 2.
Light them up.
You're of course going to window this. How's your window going to be this time? Okay, this is better. You can use the window to threaten this side. You can use the window to threaten through here. This is better. This is better. Now, you know, it's a little not perfect. Well, it's more than a little not perfect because this is so close to this that's a little annoying for you guys. But it is better than your last window, and that's more usable. That's more usable than that. So what I'm getting from all the temporal pods is to get to Masters, I need to eat fire strikes and amped fire strikes. But why? Why are we setting our 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 lamp right there? Okay. Okay. I'll live. You can shift immediately. Okay. So, biggest things for you to work on, if I can get my mouse back here. No, seriously, that's an if apparently. Okay. Biggest things for you to work on here are going to be your shift usage. Specifically, your issue with shift is you forget that it's come off of cooldown, and you'll just be chilling there with 100, 114, 86, whatever health. You'll be chilling with low health and just be like, yeah, I'm just going to keep chilling and doing my thing. Like, not aware that your health's low, or maybe not aware that your shift has been back for ages. So we need to fix that part of your shift usage. You need to be more conscious of when this cooldown comes back. This cooldown is primarily to heal you. When you're missing health, unless your other support is right there to heal you up, go ahead and use this. You don't need to be terribly stingy with using this to heal yourself. What we do want you to be stingy with it for is we're not hugely a fan of, I'm just going to step forward to go shift to heal my tanks and then step back. It's not super punishing in this particular matchup. They're not running the diva. They don't really have any flankers. Still can be punishing, where you end up in situations where you get poked out and then you have to play more conservative because you don't have health and don't have your shift. So like the bigger thing for your shift usage is going to be that we want you to understand that, hey, remember when it comes off cooldown, heal yourself with it if your other healer isn't immediately healing you, or if you're in any danger at the time, use it to maintain your ability to be threatening. But the other thing is, don't make it a habit to walk forward to heal your team with it and walk back. Sometimes you'll use it to heal your team when you're caught in rotation with your team, when your team is getting poked in rotation, when your team is getting dove in rotation and you're with them. And even if you haven't taken damage yet, you expect to, it's going to help them. That can be fine, but you're using it to help your team too often, and you're forgetting about it when it comes to yourself. That is going to be your single biggest thing to work on BAP. It really is. The second thing that I'm going to give you is, because we saw a couple of these, is I do want your windows to threaten multiple lanes when possible. We saw this on Village and on Shrine, where it was a case of there's no reason that your window needs to be so heavily focused on this when you can get more here. Or if we went back to the other point, your window needs to be so heavily outside of the box, the ice box on point, instead of also threatening the point itself. So like, you can aim these windows better to control multiple lanes, or to heavily influence multiple lanes for you. That is something that is going to help you immensely there. Then we get into smaller issues that you made, and we could pick any number of things to be the third thing if we wanted to give you a third topic. Working on those two things one at a time. Go, hey, first I'm going to work on my shift usage. I'm going to use 5 to 15% of my brain power to work specifically on this. Even if I play a little worse while I'm doing so, that's going to be okay. We're going to accept that we're getting a little worse on our trip to getting better as we're learning something. And then once we've actually locked it into our gameplay, it's part of our autopilot. Maybe that's 5 games, maybe that's 20 games. I don't care. It varies from person to person. Then you move on to thinking about, okay, how am I placing my windows? And am I getting multiple lanes when it makes sense? Then you could move on to a third thing. And if we think about your third thing, you did have some stuff where you weren't really using the cover as effectively as you could have been, especially on Sanctum there. We did get into some things. You just got caught by so many shatters. Like, you got caught by so many shatters on the first 2 points. That's probably what I'd get to, but the problem is you weren't caught by all these shatters for the same reason. Sometimes it was your cover. Sometimes it was your, hey, why aren't your exo boots charged? Sometimes it was you not reacting to sound cues to even try to push the button for lamp. Like, be more aware of shatters. Your answers to shatters are going to differ. You would like to survive shatters by, having a wall between you and them, or being in the air when they go off. And then your third response would be, shoot, I can't do anything. Let me try to get this lamp out. At least it'll hopefully deploy and protect us, even if I got caught in the shatter. So like, those are sort of your 3 answers to shatters. And In general, though, you're going to have to be more aware of shatters. You're going to have to pay more attention to the fact that shatter exists when the opponent has it to be able to get any of these three things off. Because lamping, just hard lamping, is the worst option, but it's just a reaction time test. These two are also sometimes reaction time tests, and you walked out of cover to get shattered. You jumped into a shatter at one point. So like we need to be more aware of the shatter, and if you're more aware of the shatter, that is going to make your reactions to the shatters faster. That said, I would work on the other two things first, and then I'd start worrying about, hey, shatters are getting me too often. I'm BAP. That's not supposed to happen. Okay. If you guys are enjoying the content, if you guys have questions, please go ahead and throw those up in chat now, or if you're watching this as a video, just go ahead and throw that down in the comments. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys when you do that. Like, that's great. That's fantastic when you do that. It lets me do more of this. Thank you so much. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, coming up, all that good stuff. Okay, let's take a look here. The mouse cursor didn't live. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Okay. Looks like that is going to do it then. I'm not seeing anything else from people. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and call that here. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.